Ms. Alison Cooper is your class speaker. The Provost Selection Committee chose Alison for this honor from a group of outstanding candidates nominated by the academic programs. Alison graduates today with the Bachelor of Arts Degree in English with a creative writing concentration. She's been an active student at Western and was the chief editor of Western's highly regarded literary magazine, Jeopardy! Alison's favorite moments at Western included working for Jeopardy! And participating in the Vagina Memoirs on campus, which she said opened her eyes to the variety and diversity of voices at Western. After graduation, Alison hopes to continue the work she does now, which is to foster a creative community. Originally from Ferndale, she is the daughter of John and Marla Cooper. Please welcome your class speaker, Ms. Alison Cooper.
Good afternoon, graduates, family, friends, and faculty. Today, I want to talk to you about two preoccupations I know every graduate and person faces: fear and failure. Just this year, I confronted my own failure. Aside from studying English, I also minored in French, and I absolutely struggled in a class on phonetics. Now, if you've ever traveled abroad, you may be aware that they use military time, and many of my French professors followed this standard. I remember cramming 2 hours before the final exam, which I thought started at 3 p.m. For whatever reason, I decided to look over my syllabus, and to my shock and horror, the test actually started at 13 o'clock, or what we would call 1 p.m. I was an hour and a half late to my final. I shoved my books into my bag, fled down the 5 flights of stairs in the library, and ran across Red Square to my class. I burst open the door to see my 18 classmates hunkered over their desks, their eyes momentarily turning to me. In that moment, I forgot every single word of French I had ever learned, even the word for I'm sorry. I simply sat down and finished the exam in the short amount of time I had left to work. I felt like an absolute failure, and I lost sight of a valuable lesson. It's easy to forget that success is not the only factor that allows us growth. It's easy to define ourselves in terms of our strengths when it seems that that is what society demands. On a resume, I will never list, miss the first hour and a half of French phonetics exam, though still managed to get a B-. But that experience of failure is just as valuable to me as being asked to speak today. When I was first asked to speak, I clammed up with fear. I imagined the graduating class of Humanities in Woodring, and I thought, holy crap, that's a lot of people. Then I added to that already huge number your family and friends who would be present. And if that weren't already enough, I also thought of all those watching remotely, either projected on screens around campus or in the comforts of their own home. At this point, my heart was pounding, and I thought, no way. No way could I speak in front of that many people. It's too scary, too intimidating. What if I mess up? What if no one listens or cares? Then I remembered the words of a close friend who had told me earlier in the year, if something scares you, do it. Which is to say that what causes us fear can be transformed, but only through pursuing that fear. It is only through facing fear that we conquer it, and through overcoming our struggles, we open up a whole new avenue of possibility. Our education gives us the freedom to choose not to fight fear or failure, but rather to embrace these discomforts and transform them into positive experiences. Our education gives us the freedom to choose a life for ourselves, built from possibility and imagination. When I selected my major in creative writing, I realized how important the imagination is, not just for writing, but also for creating a life of one's own. I came to Western with an idea of what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be once I graduated. I wanted to write, and perhaps more importantly, I wanted to earn a living from this passion. But writers face a uniquely terrifying task, and that is the blank page, the unfilled notebook or Word document. The latter perhaps worse because you're overwhelmed by that pesky blink of the cursor awaiting your first word, your first line. That cursor has taunted me. I dare you to write. Page still blank? What a failure. Each time I pull up the blank page, I inevitably confront the anxiety of failure. But once I get past that first sentence or paragraph and start filling that void, I realize, hey, this isn't so bad. And even if the draft or the whole piece bombs, I still face the blank page. In her lifetime, Emily Dickinson would be considered a failure, with fewer than a dozen poems published. However, her influence on modern American poetry is undeniable. Dickinson's vivid play with language inspired poets such as Adrienne Rich, Sylvia Plath, and myself. And Dickinson, too, has something to say about failure. Success is counted sweetest by those who never succeed. To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need. That is, in order to truly appreciate success, to taste that sweet nectar, one must ultimately fail. Success is lost on those who have not faltered. Just as Dickinson played with the sounds of her words, we too should play with our failures. Fiascos can exhilarate, because it is through our mistakes that we gain experience and learn. The best piece of advice I have for you is to transform your failure into laughter and your fear into possibility. As a child, I loved to play, and my favorite place to play was in my backyard. Growing up, my father kept a garden. He grew tomatoes, carrots, peas, pumpkins, and potatoes. Each year, I watched him dig a hole after harvesting the potatoes, and never content to merely sit alongside, I played in the hole, collecting dirt beneath my fingernails and picking worms from their burrows. I didn't care that my clothes gradually became a muddy brown. I was concerned with play. But I got older, and suddenly the hole wasn't appealing anymore, and this act of play became distant. Imaginary friends and worlds seemed especially distant in the standards of university, where we're groomed for the real world. I had forgotten what it felt like to get my hands dirty in that mud. Today, I want to offer you an invitation to return to the mud and a new definition of play, because it shouldn't be dismissed as something for children only. Play is for you, even as an adult. After all, why should kids have all the fun? I offer this definition. Play is trying something new in the face of fear and failure and taking the chance anyways. So play on, play often, and don't be afraid to get mud on your clothes. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison, for those stirring remarks.